All right, so adding and subtracting matrices is one of the easiest things that we can do with it. The first thing we always have to check, though, is to make sure that it's going to be possible to do this addition and subtraction. And what we know we are looking for are matrices that have the same dimension. So in other words, they have to be the same size. If they're mismatched, we're not going to be able to add or subtract them. So that would be the case that it talks about here. We just say we would write undefined. So when I look at number 1, I see that I have 2 matrices that are the same size. So I know that I'm going to be able to add these together. Now, what I always look at first and kind of make a note for myself is I pay attention to what that sign is. I'll circle it. I'll just mentally make a note, because I cannot tell you how many times people will get problems wrong on this because they're doing the wrong operation. So check that for yourself first so you know what we are doing. Once I know that I'm adding, all I have to do is go through each of the locations on the matrix, each of those entries, and add them together. So what I mean by that is I'm going to take this first piece, so 3 and 0. I've got to add those together. So 3 plus 0, that tells me what the new number in that spot's going to be. Then I do the same thing for my next number. 6 and -1 are in the same spot. So 6 plus -1 tells me my new number there. It's going to be 5. I keep doing that for all of the points and the places in the matrix. So -1 plus 6, we're going to have another 5. -3 plus 0, we're going to have -3. -5 plus 2, -3. And lastly, -1 plus 3 means we're going to be left with a 2. Your answer should be the same dimension as both of the matrices that you either added or subtracted, because it's all corresponding place by place. So the 2 numbers that you're adding together, the answer goes in that place since it's all corresponding to each other. So we can do the same thing for number 2. Notice this one's a little different because we are subtracting this time. So we need to make sure that we are being careful with negatives. So if we're subtracting negatives or anything like that, just make sure you're being careful with that so we don't lose any signs along the way. So our first spot, -5 minus 6. Well, I can think of that as -5 plus -6. So I know that we're going to have -11. That's what I mean when I say we need to be watching out for our negatives. That's an easy spot that you can get tripped up. 2 minus -5. Well, that's the same as plus +5. So we're going to have a 7. -2 minus -6. Well, that's the same as plus +. So -2 plus 6 means I'm going to be left with a 4. And then I can do the same thing on the bottom. 4 minus 1. Well, that one's easy. It'll give me 3. -2 minus 3. So that's the same as -2 plus -3. So we've got -5. And then lastly, 0 minus -3. Well, that's the same as plus +3. So we're going to end with a +3 at the end. So make sure you're paying attention to your negatives. Make sure you are lining up all of the entries. Whatever's in the same spot, those are the 2 we combine. Now you have 4 more examples in this section that I would like you to try. Either add or subtract. Make sure you are paying attention to what sign is in the middle of them. When you finish those 4 examples, check your answers on the link next in Schoology, and then keep going.